Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, we got a fun one for you guys, man. We got my boy, LowRyda, a.k.a. Low Lincoln, a.k.a. Barry Stevens, a.k.a. one half of the tag team, the Dead Presidents. He's a podcast extraordinaire. He's a professional wrestling veteran. He's been around the block once or twice and maybe 3 times on a Sunday. But he's my boy. I'm excited to have him on for this conversation. It's been a hot minute since we've caught up. So this is going to be a pretty fun one. But before we get into it, I need to take a quick second and tell you guys about Sleeves.com. That's SLEEFS, sleeves.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out sleeves.com. They've got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and those dirty boxes that you know that I love. So go and check them out. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you're tuning in, I appreciate you. If you're tuning in on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and click that little red button and like, share, subscribe. Tap that little red button and tap in. Also, if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. It helps it go a long way. It helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people like yourselves. So get to clicking, get to tapping, and let's get into it. But without further ado, let's get into my conversation with my boy, the one and only LowRyda. What's going on, guys? We're here with my boy, LowRyda. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? What's up? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, you know what? It's a pleasure to have you on, bro. I had you on like a couple years back, bro, like with you and Boogaloo, man. And man, you and me, we've done quite a few podcasts together, you know, since that time, bro. It's always fun having a chat with you, bro, because I think you and I have a very similar sense of humor, bro. We grew up in a very similar generation in two different types of societies, in different types of worlds, man. But like
opposite sides of the world, right?
We're on the same page. Yeah, bro. But man, what's been good with you, man? How's the podcasting world going, bro? Like, I know you've been doing the sports podcast with Kenny and also Mega. How's that been traveling for you boys?
Man, it's been pretty good, man. You know, we've been doing our it's called No Holds Barred sports show, and it's only on YouTube now. We were doing it on Facebook and YouTube. Now we're just doing it YouTube only, and we got a little tired of the whole, you know, multiple platform stuff, you know. So, but yeah, if people want to check that out, man, we will greatly appreciate it. We talk pretty much all things sports. You know, we're 3 wrestlers. Kenny's retired. Me and Mega still are willing to get down and dirty, and you know, so we talk all things sports, except we don't really talk wrestling, which, you know, it's for me. You know, I told you before, I don't really care to watch wrestling much. So, you know, talking, you know, trying to watch, like if something cool happens, I'm down to, you know, watch a clip or something, but there's no way I can watch I don't know how long Raw is, but 2 hours, 3 hours of Raw or SmackDown or anything like that, you know?
It's brutal, man. Like it's probably been years since I've watched a full episode of Monday Night Raw. Like I usually was watching like the 90-minute recap on Hulu, and even then, like that's like watching it with a phone in my hand, like doing
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Oh,
It,
okay.
it's not like the 90s and early 2000s that it was like, yo, I gotta be home, I gotta watch this shit, you know?
100%, because that was the thing. I feel like what's missing in wrestling now is like suspenseful television, the shit that makes you go almost like those moments where you're like, ah, damn it, now I gotta wait a week.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like the
Exactly.
stuff that, like, where you watch like Sons of Anarchy or The Sopranos or like one of those TV series where like every episode, like,
Cliffhangers.
yeah, those
Yeah.
cliffhangers that make you want to tune in. And wrestling used to be like that, man. But I feel like it's just maybe a thing of social media and like everyone having all this access. That's just like people don't want to wait for the payoff.
Yeah, and now they do a lot of, because of the internet, you know, everything that's recorded, you know, gets put out there early, and you know, it's just like results are out there. Why am I gonna? And I feel like a lot of the issue also is like back in the day, you would wait to see, you know, Piers Austin versus LowRyda.
Mm.
Now it's every Monday, every Friday, right? SmackDown's Friday, yeah,
Yeah.
every Monday, every Friday, and and then the pay per view comes, and it's like, okay, I've just seen this match for fucking 6 weeks, you know.
Mm.
See,
Yeah,
I've
like
seen them
they're
do
not
this,
really
you know.
building to anything. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
but if you look at the '80s and stuff, like
Mhm.
the feuds would go on for like years, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's a big
Yeah.
thing, man. It's like I think that's what kind of uh drove a little bit of the downside of wrestling. That, you know, because I feel like a lot of the internet killed it, you know, and then everybody being able to you know, you knew when people were coming out, as opposed to, you know, like I remember for me, the only one I still really will watch, like besides WrestleMania, is Royal Rumble. Royal
Yeah.
Rumble was like my go to because it's right around my birthday, and as a kid, that was like the pay per view my mom would purchase for me, you know.
Yeah.
So, God damn, this camera's is driving me crazy. I feel like I keep going blurry.
No,
Um,
you're good, bro.
but yeah, so like it was just, you know, for me, it was like when a surprise entrant would come out, it was just like such a cool thing for me, you know. And now it's like, hey, this guy's in the building. You see it all over Facebook, or it's like, you know.
Well, it's like the Cody debut, right? Like he left AEW, and it was like if you all right, we look back at say like I don't know, like Chris Jericho debuting, coming over from WCW, right?
Mhm.
Complete shock and surprise for the fans, right? And then you look at like the thing with Cody, and it's like everybody knew, okay, cool, yeah, he's going to be coming out at WrestleMania. He's going to be wrestling. Like this is the who he's going to be wrestling against. This is the go, and it was like, okay, so basically now we're just expecting him to come out.
Yeah, you just were waiting for it, and to me, that I think that's what kills the allure of wrestling. You know, it kills the oh man, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna show up? You know, like
Mm.
I just don't really care for that aspect. Like I remember as soon as like all the internet dirt sheets started popping up. In the beginning, it was like, "Oh shit, this is cool," and then I was like, you know what? I don't really want to know what the fuck's gonna happen. You know,
And
especially
then
because
social
like,
media on top of that as well, where
mhm,
it's like then you get alerts on your phone and
yeah,
everything is just so easy access, and you're at the point where you're like, fuck, man, you can't avoid it.
exactly. Like, that's the one thing. Like for me, like watching like baseball and shit. Like if I miss if I don't get to watch a game, but I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna watch this game later on. I turn off all notifications on my phone. I won't go on. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I don't want to know what the fuck's gonna happen. If I want to watch something that big, I don't want to be interrupted. You know.
But then
So.
again, like in this time and age, like you look at a pay per view, for example, which goes for like what, 4 hours?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like when you're a parent and you have like other commitments and shit, sitting down in front of a TV for 4 hours can sometimes be a little bit out of like a grasp of reality for a lot of times.
Yeah, for real. You're gonna probably miss at least the beginning, right? Because you're gonna be putting your kid to bed around that time, unless your kid got a later bedtime or something, So, it's a tough situation. I feel like for the whole gimmick, with enjoying, like, obviously when you're young, you don't have those same responsibilities. You can invest all your time into it and energy.
100%.
Like I remember going to school and you know couldn't wait for Tuesday, because Tuesday everybody would be in the classroom, jumping all over each other, talking about, did you see what the fuck Stone Cold did?
Yeah, 100%, right? Like
Fucking
I've said this before, but remember like the point where like he came out with the gun and he put it to Vince McMahon's head and they dropped the bang, the sign. Bro, like I was like fuck, like probably 15 or 16 years of age, and I legitimately thought we were gonna see someone get smoked on television. Like,
Yeah,
let's
dude.
fucking
I,
go,
I
bro.
I remember the Pillman and Austin gimmick. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy.
That was heavy duty. That was
Yeah,
heavy.
and that you know took wrestling to like that edge, would put people on their like the edge of your seat, like, oh shit, like,
Mhm.
is this legit? Like, nowadays it's like, hey, I see this guy and this guy hanging, posting Twitter pics together and
Right?
Instagram pics, and then they're working the angle. Like it makes it really tough. When for a fan to buy into it.
100%. I agree. Getting into your career, man, like you were actually trained by like at Gleasons gym, like
Yeah,
by Johnny Rods, who is Hall of Fame trainer, Hall of Fame wrestler, has trained some of the biggest names in like the history of the business. Um, coming up, because like I know your older brother Boogaloo, um, he was a wrestler. He got started before you, and then you pretty much followed footsteps. A couple of years, down the
yeah.
track, right?
About 2 years after him, when I was 16, I got a um, got a summer job, and I was always at the gym with my brother whenever I was able to go, and I
Yeah.
got a summer job, and I told Johnny, I was there one day, and I told Johnny, I said, hey, I wanna train, I wanna be a wrestler, and he was like, hey, Paul, you're small, you know. So he was telling me, I'm gonna have to eat, I'm gonna have to get my stuff together, and he gave me like an amazing deal, and he basically told my brother like, yo, you're gonna be responsible for him though.
Yeah.
So at the time, my brother, like, Angel was already like out in ECW, but he was coming around regularly.
Mm.
Big Vito would come in regularly. We had like some guys that would come in on the regular that were, stars,
Yeah.
and it was cool, but they weren't really there. Like when my brother started, a lot of those guys were there like regularly.
Mm.
And when I started, it was pretty much like my brother was like one of the main guys training. My brother, Damian Dragon, Matt Daddy Flex, those guys were like the main ones that worked with me, to get me, trained. And
Did
then
Johnny
they
have did Johnny have much of a hand in training you as well?
more psychology wise, like he wouldn't really get in the ring. By the time I was there, he would come in the ring occasionally, tell you, you gotta sell better, chop you, fucking, grab your grab you in a wrist lock and actually fucking wrench you up and
Stretch you out a bit.
Yeah, stretch you up a little bit, hit you with a super kick out of nowhere. But that was like Johnny's gimmick, like at that time he was he was older and already, and not he's still kicking, so but he was already starting to get older, and he was just like, he would watch from the office, and you do some shit, and then like for me, like especially because there wasn't really small guys. My brother and Damien were like the only two small guys,
but even your brother back in the day, like he was pretty solid.
Yeah, right? he was stacked, and Damien was thin, and so Damien did a lot of the high flying stuff. So he showed me a lot of stuff, and Louis just based me for everything. He was like, "Hey, let's try this." Boom, and bro, I was there. Like, I got this summer job. I went with my first check, and I was like, "Johnny, I just got paid. Here goes my check." And he's like, I think it was like over $1,000, and he's like, "You're gonna need money for yourself." So he told me how much he wanted. I think it was like $720 or something.
Yeah.
And I gave him the money. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go cash my check." I went cash my check, and I started that probably next day. And I was 16. I was working in Manhattan, doing a messenger job, and after work I would go straight to the Gleasons. I'd ride the train to Gleasons, and I'd be in the gym from let's say 5:30 till 10 o'clock at night when they would close, and my brother would come normally when he'd get off, and we'd work out for a couple hours. If my brother couldn't come, I'd just be there from 5:30 to 10 at night. Weekends I was there at like 8 a.m. when they would open until 10 o'clock at night sometimes. It was just like,
that's crazy.
I was trying to soak in all the information I could. So everybody that came in, if they were out doing indies and shit, I was just like, and there was times like I'd just sit in Johnny's office, and we'd sit in his office and watch tapes, and it was great, man. I can't complain. Obviously I wish there was more smaller guys that I could have gotten to do a lot more shit with. But I got to learn the legit way. Like a lot of people went to schools and they just learn high spots. They don't learn psychology. They don't learn how to work a crowd. They don't learn how to some people don't even fucking learn how to bump. It's just like,
oh dude, I've seen
crazy.
I've seen some where it's like the bumps, like a person's supposed to take like a straight flat back bump. It's like you know what I mean? And for someone like me who isn't trained, who can sit there and go, oh, that, right? You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't happen, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like it's different when one of like a wrestler can pick that shit up, but when someone who isn't trained, I think, all right, that's bad.
Yeah, but when you watch enough wrestling, what doesn't look good, what does,
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing, like if somebody's watching wrestling for the first time, they may be like, that looked like shit, but they don't know that that's not the proper way,
100%.
Yeah.
Like as far as like going and training there and like especially like training with your brother and your older brother, and it's like I've been around like combat sports like boxing, Muay Thai, MMA and stuff like that, and one of the things I've always found is like siblings, whenever they have to spar, is always the best fucking sparring sessions to be around the fucking ring or cage and watch, because like you just see siblings beat the fuck out of each other. Like, did you find like, because I know that you and Louis are very close, but like, did you find like when you were going in and learning how to wrestle and training and being around that environment so much, it's like the times where you and your brother may have had like a little bit of a beef or a frustration with each other, you just get in and just like, lay it in a little bit thick or just go a little bit stiff with each other?
Honestly, bro, like for the most part, like Louis was always hard on me, because he said like from the jump, like, bro, you got tons of potential. You just need to fucking commit yourself, you know?
Mm.
And so he was always hard on me, you know, especially like when I'd fuck up spots and stuff like that. So like, you know, during training, like he'd wing them in there if I fuck up a spot during, you know, during training. So it's like, and that was part of the thing. Like, so when the way we were trained, it was basically like you fuck up, you get fucked up type of deal.
Yeah.
So later on, you know, as I started branching out and doing indies, I had that same mentality because that was the Gleasons way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
so, but yeah, like me and Louis, man, like I remember my first match was against Louis. So we, you know, we planned out this whole big match and, you know, we were training daily, you know, and Johnny's like, oh, you ready? I was like, yeah, I'm fucking ready. He's like, all right. Yeah. I was like 120 pounds, if that, you know. Jeez. It's like a fucking toothpick with baggy pants on, you know?
Yeah.
And my gimmick name was Chung Kamikaze. And I wore like came out with a a mask that was molded, like a glass mask that was molded, made to fit my face. And I took it off and I had my face painted underneath it and shit. And it was cool, you know, cool little entrance gimmick, you know. But I came out and did, you know, we had this about 12-minute match planned and go out there and, you know, we're doing probably like 2 minutes in, maybe 3 minutes in, up and over spot. Louis goes to throw me into the corner. I go up and over, and I did not get over. Because at the time, I used to do that bounce off the bottom to go up and over.
Yeah.
And when I went to hit the bottom, I just kind of slipped up. Oh. And fucking Louis just came full speed, bulldozed me into the fucking corner. and bro, like, everything that we had planned went out the fucking window because it was like, you fucked up, you know? And
did that just sort of throw the whole match off, or were you like injured and couldn't like remember? Like, what was?
No, I just, as soon as it happened, Louis just fucking bulldozed me and, you know, he fucking forearmed the shit out of me, cross-faced me probably like 10 times. You know?
So it's basically him just going, you stupid motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he hit me with like every suplex known to man. And then he's like, at the time, I used to, now, Gleasons, the ropes were fucking rubbery as hell. Like, there was no spring to them, you know? Like, when you hit the ropes, you'd sink in, you know? Even at 115 pounds, you know? So I go up there. So Louis tells me, hey, do the walk the rope spot. So I did like the Hakushi spot.
Yeah.
Where grab his arm. So he goes to hit me. I grab his arm. I jump up on the rope, start walking the ropes. Go jump off and hit him. He fucking just catches me. Boom. Fucking hits me with a fucking head and arm suplex. I was like, what the fuck? Beat me up some more. Then we took it home. But, you know, it was like, and you know, it was part of breaking in. You know, I had to learn my fucking lesson. You know, you can't, and this is something that I had to learn also, right? Like, you can't plan a match out. Like, you have to be able to work on the go. And I learned that through training at Gleasons and working at Gleasons. You know, I did, you know, school shows for, you know, a couple years, maybe 2 years before I finally got out and started, you know, doing indies.
Because I heard that's what Johnny does. Like, you know, I think it's WUW, where he's like, he has guys that are like wrestling on like only those sort of cards. He keeps them close for like an inordinate amount of time. Like, I remember I interviewed a young guy there, like, who's just really coming out on the indies now, Jay Bowie, and he was wrestling as Jay Bushi at the time, and he was wrestling only for WUW, and he was like, no, man, Johnny reckons I got to stay here, man. And like, this kid was like 21, 22, super respectful and super cool. Like he was just like, yeah, man. He goes, as cool as it would be for me to go and work all these places, man. But Johnny says I'm not ready. And this guy was just like saying, he was just like listening to it blindly, man. And I think that's from everything I've heard and the stories I've heard about like Johnny Rods, that's kind of like the general consensus from like multiple people that I've spoken to that trained under him, that he had this just like demanding of respect of a personality or aura, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he pretty much he didn't want you to go out and work indies when he didn't feel like you were ready, right? However, at the time, right, like when you're starting to get, feel like you're good, right? You're not going to get better unless you work with other people,
Yeah.
So, like Louis was already doing indies at the time. So him and Damien were teaming up, and they were the Natural Born Killers. And me and Flex will both just always go to the shows, and we'd be in the crowd, and we'd just be, having a great time, bro. Like, cause like they'd work for Frank Goodman, and Goodman would always have like old school workers, Greg the Hammer, Jimmy Superfly, freaking Brutus Beefcake, LOD,
Veterans, yeah.
Demolition, all these legends, and it was just like cool as hell, so we'd be out there and we'd just enjoy ourselves because I was a fucking fan at the same time,
100%, yeah.
So finally, like I was like, dude, I don't feel like I'm, especially because like I said, I was like the only small dude. Like, small dudes would come in, and part of the problem was, people would come in and they think they know shit. So they'd come in and they'd be on that. Oh, I remember there was finally like a kid that came in, and his name was like Barnaby. So
that is like
that was his fucking name, Barnaby, right?
That's the fucking anyway.
So this fucking dork comes, and it was great because I'm like, oh shit, he's my size. This is perfect,
Yeah.
So he comes in, and Johnny's like, hey, Chung, I want you to work with him because he's your size, he's gonna be with you. I was like, all right, cool, So I'm ready. I'm trying to help the kid, like in the beginning, like trying to teach him how to roll, trying to do all this shit. Couldn't roll worth shit, right? Now this kid's supposed to be a black belt, however many degree black belt from. He learned from Jet Li. This is all the shit he's telling me. I'm like, bro, listen. As he's telling me this shit, I'm like, bro, listen. I don't give a fuck about that. Just roll. Learn to roll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to learn how to fucking roll. You need to learn how to bump. Forget about all that bullshit. He's like, oh, hey, can you do 2-finger push-ups? I was like, no. Can you do a fucking roll? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, so I was like, this dude, man. So sure enough, like, after a couple, maybe about 2 weeks or something, like, Johnny had a thing like, don't fuck up the new guys because most of them ain't paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they most of them put like a down payment, let's say a couple $100, and depending on your deal, most of the time it was people were paying like $3,000.
That's nuts.
Let's say Buddy comes in and puts down 500, starts his training, and he's supposed to make payments weekly, and we start letting them work in the ring, and we start fucking them up because you got to break them in.
100%. But
but Johnny didn't want us to break them in.
Yeah, exactly. You got to wait till they're paid before you.
Yeah. So
I remember Angel told me that too.
Yeah, bro. It's like, hey, you gotta take it easy with them guys. Take it easy. Tranquilo. So it was like, all right, so we were like, all right. So man, bro, I got so like fed up with this kid. So I start letting him we were like, hey, you know, we decided we were starting to do some grappling and shit. So we're doing chain work and practicing a bit. And Buddy comes, and so we actually start working a bit, and he's out on the apron. I don't remember who was out there, but somebody tags him in, and I'm in the ring. And motherfucker goes in and tries to body slam me. Now, he ain't never done any of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling her, hey, you know, take a clothesline.
Yeah.
Do this. You know, do the basic shit. All of a sudden, this motherfucker just grabs me and tries to shoot body slam me. So I fucking, when he picked me up and slammed me, I was like, oh, this motherfucker here. So then I went to do something else, and he tried to, like, shoot on me. I was like, fuck this shit. So I shot a fucking double leg on him, and I start fucking grinding his fucking face in the mat. And I think he went to, like, try to suplex me, and I fucking blocked that shit and fucking start, you know. So now it's starting to get a little extra, and I'm like, fuck it. You know what? Let me get the fuck out before I start getting annoyed. So I tag out. My brother comes in, and my brother goes to do something, and he's not fucking working. He's in fucking shoot mode. So my brother just fucking fucks him up. then everybody starts, like, tagging in, and everybody starts fucking him up little by little. Boom, 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 boom. But he leaves, never see him again. And that was the way it was, though. Like, if somebody, especially, like, when they were done paying, like, if they were still shitty, like, Johnny would be like, hey, they're done paying. like green light these motherfuckers.
All right, we got the bread now. Come on, let's get it.
Hey, y'all motherfuckers are green lit. Y'all can fuck them up now.
Do you feel like Johnny had his boys, like, at the gym, like the guys that were, like, his crew?
Oh yeah,
like his boys. You know?
Like my brother was one of those guys. Like, you know, he would get infatuated sometimes with some of these guys, you know, like big dudes that would come in. Like, yeah, there was like a big Russian dude that came in that was like 7'3", and he does like acting and shit now. Like, I seen him on like Law and Order one day, and
oh shit!
But he's a big fuck, man, big huge Russian dude, juiced out of his fucking mind. But he was horrible. He moved like fucking Giant Gonzalez, you know what I'm saying? Like, couldn't fucking move good around the ring, was stiff, body movement was stiff, couldn't bump worth shit. And Johnny was like, oh, he's gonna be big, he's gonna be a big deal. No, he wasn't gonna make it, dude. You know, and we knew he wasn't gonna make it because he had no sense, you know.
Yeah.
And then he had like another Russian dude that came in that was like a grappler, and this dude was like a fucking tank, you know. And
that would have been promising with that.
And yeah, and he looked like $1 million, this Russian dude, and fucking he German suplexed one of our boys, Bobby G, on his head, and fucking Bobby was like, I don't know if he got concussed or his neck got fucked up, but he was fucked. And my brother was like, he tells my brother about it. My brother's like, all right. My brother goes and fucking puts on his gear. Like, we get to the gym, and my brother's like, oh, this motherfucker's here. Puts his singlet on, goes in the ring. My brother fucking wrecked Buddy, busted him up and everything. And I was like, yeah. And this dude was supposed to be a legit, you know, fucking Russian grappler. And my brother knows his shit. You know what I'm saying? So.
100%, bro. And your brother's an intimidating dude as well to talk to, because he's very friendly, very pleasant and stuff like that. But if you don't know him, like, I feel like his demeanor, like, you could easily get intimidated by having a conversation with him at certain times.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so, you know, so that was like a lot of it like that we had to deal with, you know, and I was able to branch out luckily, and because Louis was doing those indies and shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, as soon as Louis met like Homicide and Loki and all those guys, they had a school, and they were open like every day and night. Like, you can go and train at fucking 2:00 in the morning, you know?
That's nuts.
So we started working out with them, and we were still going to Gleasons, and from there, man, it was just like I feel like my talent got even better,
Mm.
because there was a lot of guys that were closer to my size and a lot of guys that actually wrestled, you know, my style,
That was the doghouse, right?
Yeah, the doghouse. And that place was, man, to me, that place was awesome. It was kind of like I'd say a junkyard of motherfuckers from everywhere. A lot of those guys started in different schools and, but man, some of the talent that came out of there was amazing. They had Loki, they had Homicide, they had damn, what the hell was that dude's name? He was Ezekiel Jackson and he was Ricky Atlas there, but he was Ezekiel Jackson in WWE for a while. He was with Brian Kendrick.
Yeah.
SAT used to come there, but they didn't start there. But man, there were so many good, talented guys that came there, and it was just like, man, the amount of talent, the Hit Squad, the amount of talent that would be there, and the shit was they would do a show every Saturday. So if you didn't have a booking somewhere else, you go there and you go have a match in front of a crowd, and the fucking crowd was like, they loved it. It was just like people would see, because they had like a metal roll down gate, so people would see the crowd, like hear the bumps, and they'd see it, and they'd fucking go and walk over, and they'd drop. I think it was like $5 to get in, and they would just go, and people off the street would just fill up this fucking little building, and it was great, man. To get to practice.
100% get the reps in front of a crowd,
yeah,
but like
in front of a crowd.
But even like then, like I feel like that was like the gangster gym of professional.
Oh yeah. It was a gym that people like. Bobby Lombardi was the owner, and a lot of people didn't like Bobby. But to me, man, he was such a nice dude. Like he welcomed me and Louie in with open arms. I met some of my best friends at that place. I met Guapo there. I met Cash and Chaos there, and All Money Is Legal, Boofa, and and it was just like, I met some of my best friends there, and they had so much talent, bro, that would just come in and out, and it was just like, it was crazy. So like, getting in those reps, like working with Asriel, working with Deranged that were my size, it was great, and then Loki at the time was already everywhere, and he was basically regularly being talked to by WWE, and so
because that was around the time where like I think that there was a real shift in the business where like we started to see smaller guys, and I think the Indies, Ring of Honor around that early 2000s.
Well, Ring of Honor came from what Jack Sabbathman and Frank Goodman were doing, because pretty much all those guys that were on their shows are who Ring of Honor started using after, they were doing their thing. So
yeah, because I heard like Ring of Honor was kind of like started kind of off the back of like CZW, because like I think Feinstein or like the person who started Ring of Honor or whatever, like wanted to a part ownership of CZW or some shit, and Zandig told them to go fuck themselves, and then Ring of Honor started, and then essentially Ring of Honor basically, I feel like back then plucked the best of the indies, really.
Yeah, they brought in, because in the beginning it was basically all Northeast guys. Then they started bringing in, and they had like a couple guys here and there, like Daniel Bryan, and like, they started bringing in guys from Texas, like Paul London and Spanky, and there was a bunch of guys that came up there, from Rudy Boy's school down there, Texas wrestling, and it was cool, man. Like the way they did things, they started just bringing in talent, and they blew up, But yeah, man, like for me, like I think a lot of it had to do with the way I got my push was me and Louis, well, me and Stryker basically pushed ourselves out the door to start doing indies because me and Stryker were my brother's students. And once we felt like we were ready, we were like, yo, we want to get out there, man. We want to get on these shows. And
were you getting bookings like every weekend doing shows?
In the beginning, not really. You know, in the beginning it was a booking here, a booking there. And then fuck, man, like at one point it was like 2 to 3 bookings a weekend, you know? And if we didn't have something, like I said, we'd go to the doghouse and have a show there, you know? Like it wasn't a payday, but it was a show in front of a crowd, and it was a great thing, you know, for us. So I loved it, man. But me and Stryker, we started as a team at USA Pro.
You're talking Matt Stryker, right?
Matt Stryker, yeah, the one that was in WWE, and then he became a ring commentator. And then he went to Impact, and he was commentating there for a while. But yeah, me and him were my brother's students, and we would work each other all the time. And we had our first indie show. Me and him teamed up, and we worked against the Boogie Nights.
No way.
Yeah, Mike Tobin and Danny Drake, and I fucking wrestled because we had to have our license to wrestle in New York. This is when you had to be legit trained, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had my license, and I had to show it to the State Athletic Commission. So I show it to them, and it was in my wallet. I put my wallet in my pocket, and I go out to wrestle, and I have my wallet in my pocket.
That's what.
So I get gut wrench suplexed by, I think it was Tobin that gut wrench suplexes me, and my fucking wallet goes flying out of my pocket. Until this day, I'm always like, what the fuck? And he's like, is that your wallet? The referee's like, hey, you dropped your wallet. So he picks it up and puts it in his pocket and shit. And dude, like I was wrestling with my cane on. Like I was just like, it was just like such a fucking rush to be, out there and in front of like legit a real crowd, like doing school shows is cool and all, but once you get out there, it's like, oh shit, like there's 600 people here, School show, you have maybe 100, 150 people, if that,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was like, holy shit.
But like when you started like making a way like on the indies and forming the team with your brother, like the dead president's name, like you guys actually went down to XPW back in the day, and it was probably more along the lines of the back end of the later days of XPW, really. Like you were down there, what, 03, like I think 03.
Yeah, we went when they decided to do their invasion of Philly. But leading up to that, like I had teamed with Stryker, I teamed with Guapo for I think like 3 years or 2 years and some change, almost 3 years. And we got to do we were working WXW with Alpha for a while. And then we got the call. My brother ended up getting shit canned from Ring of Honor. And when that happened, they were like, because him and Homicide were supposed to go into XPW. Yeah. So when they put the blame on Louis, they were like, hey, we'll take you still. They said, hey, your brother's available, bring your brother. Because me and Deranged were supposed to go in as a team. And my brother and Homicide were supposed to go in as a team. And so my brother ended up getting let go. So they were like, hey, come in, you and your brother come in, and we'll do your tag team with y'all. So they looked out for us, man. They paid us great, man. Rob Black was amazing. Like dealing with him, like that was like to me, that was like the like closest to, I'd say, like real wrestling that you would see. Like their backstage, like their production was crazy.
Yeah.
Like we get there the night before the show, and freaking, they put us up in a hotel. They had like the whole floor of the hotel rented out, and it was just like all the boys. So like every room
dangerous.
Door, every room door is open, right? And you're like walking. You can walk down the hallway, and every room door is open, or people are just hanging out in the hallway, and which is cool as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, and at the time, like we didn't really know it. Most of those guys were West Coast guys.
Because they had a lot of their own crew.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
So that's where I met Luke Hawks, and that night I met Luke Hawks, and dude, me and Luke hit it off, man. Like that became my dog, man. And
he's a great dude.
But yeah, man, like the shenanigans that were going on in that hotel were crazy. But I know a lot of people don't like Rob Black or whatnot, man. But like all I can say is what I experienced, and my experience with him, man, was he treated me and Louis great, and they paid us great. Like our asking price wasn't what they paid us. They paid us almost double our asking price.
Wow.
So, like it was like one of those things like, hey, I take care of my guys. So it was cool, like
that's pretty cool.
It was like, hell yeah, and for me, I had a shoot job that I worked 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and so it was like, dude, like when I'd have indie shows, it was just like straight fucking cash money in your pocket on top of my shoot job. So man, I was, as a young man, teenager, then turning into a young man, I didn't know what it was just like craziness.
100%. Who came up with the dead president's gimmick? Was it Rob Black, or was it, because I know that's where you guys started really using the dead president?
Yeah, we got it there. I don't know who. I know we came in and they were like, "What do you guys want to call yourselves?" And we were like, we've been going by the Los Lunatics, and that was me, Louis, and Guapo, that were the Los Lunatics, and we had done like trios matches, and me and Guapo were tag champs a couple places, and then when I would pull no shows, Louis would fill in, and bro, I can say honestly, like I did not take a lot of this shit seriously when I was younger because I just wanted to have fun. And, I missed a lot of shit in my life for wrestling. Like I missed birthdays with friends and family and, freaking, all kinds of shit. Because I started when I was 16. So, I missed a lot of shit. And would I go back and change it? Fuck no. But but occasionally I'd get annoyed with a payday. I'd get annoyed with the way that they used the previous show. And I'd be like, these motherfuckers, my brother would be like, hey, get ready we're going to be leaving at, 12. I'm like, nah, I'm not going, bro. And he's like, what? I'm like, nah, I'm not going. Fuck that place. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it was like, bro, I went from, me and Guapo were teaming. We got thrown together random as fuck. Yeah. And it was, bro, we had so much chemistry that it was just like we clicked. And it was just like it worked out perfect. But Guapo was horrible with directions. So we would always get to the buildings late unless Louis was with us, because then Louis is going to make us leave early as fuck. And he's going to be like, get off here, go this way. I'm just sitting in the back with my fucking headphones on, or I'm sitting in the back, fucking singing along to the music, making, we would play me and Guapo would play fucking music and we'd sing everything and make it about Louis.
I bet Louis would have loved it as well.
Oh, yeah, he used to get annoyed and shit. But it was fun, man. We used to have a good fucking time, and then in the beginning it was just us three, but a couple times like Louis would go ride with Homicide, so me and Guapo would ride together, and it was just like, dude, like a 3-hour trip would take 6 hours because we'd get fucking lost, and all of a sudden we get to the building, right? I think it was like our second show there, and at WXW with Alpha, and they put us with these two green kids, and we get there and they're like, hey, you guys are next, as we fucking walk in the door. And I'm like, fuck, bro, we gotta put our gear on, we gotta, like, I'm trying to get dressed. Yeah, bro, I'm trying to get dressed. I used to do the face paint gimmick, but not like the whole gimmick. I used to do like 3 lines going down, and it was dope, Yeah. But like, I'm trying to get my gear on. These kids fucking come up and they're asking me, hey, so I'm thinking I want to do. I'm like, listen, bro, we'll call it in the ring, man. Like, we ain't got time. I gotta get dressed. I gotta put fucking, I gotta get my mind right, Yeah. Oh, hey, but yeah, do you think we could? Yo, bro, don't talk to me right now, man. I'm trying to get dressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll call it in the ring. Like, call it in the ring.
Like an old veteran talking,
bro. And I was still green. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was green, but I wasn't green. Like, I had already been wrestling for maybe like 3-4 years at the time, 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
And I already knew what the fuck I was doing, but because I was trained that way. A lot of these kids weren't trained that way. They had to call everything. Yeah. So, we go out there and we get in the ring, and these kids are like, oh, hey, right, but when we're about to go out, hey, yeah, can we do? I said, listen, bro, I'm not gonna remember anything you're telling me right now. We'll call it in the ring. Like, that's it. So we go out there, we start the match, and I tell Guap, I'm like, yo, we're gonna bum rush these kids. So he's like, all right. So like, they come out, they're like, yeah. As soon as they turn it back, we're like, wow, fucking them up. Right. Yeah. So the refs like rings the bell, we start the match. I'm giving the heat to the one kid. His name was Weave. So I'm giving him some heat, and I take him, I whip him off, and I'm like, hey, duck my line, hit me with a drop kick. Ducks my line, turn around, drop kick, boom. As he goes to pick me up, I'm like, you're assigned. You know what I'm saying? Do some shit. So kid goes up, he hits me a couple times. Then he whips me into the ropes and he says, do the thing. And I'm like,
what?
Bro, I till this day, bro, I swear this whole shit went in like slow motion. Like, I'm running, I hit the ropes. And as I'm running, I'm like, if we just bump into each other, I'm gonna fucking kill this kid. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill this kid, like, legit. If we just bump into each other, I'm gonna kill him. And I feel like it took me like 10 minutes to get across the ring, and then 100%. We come, and we're just like chest to chest. I stop, look at him, and just like, whang, punch him right in his fucking face, bro. I fucking blasted this kid in his face, grabbed him by his hair, fucking snap-mirrored him, start kicking the fuck out of him, chopping him like crazy. I grab him, drag him over to the corner, I tag Guapo in, and I'm like, yo, don't let this motherfucker tag up. Now, Guapo, this is probably like his third outside show on the Indies. And he's like, what? I'm like, don't let this motherfucker tag out. So he's like, all right. So he starts fucking the kid up, tags me back in, fucking him up some more. Tag him back in. All of a sudden, I see the kid hit Guapo with a jawbuster. And I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, what the fuck? So Guapo sells, and the kid goes and tags and crawls to his partner and tags. I'm like, motherfucker. I just go right into the ring, bum rush his partner, hit him a couple times, grab a motherfucker, toss him out the ring, grab the kid off the apron, bring him back in. I'm like, yo, we're hitting our finisher on him. So we hit our finisher on him and take it home. And they were like, so we go to the locker room.
Yeah.
And everybody was fucking hot because these kids were both students of office. So everybody was hot, bro. Like, they were like, what the fuck? What happened out there? Like, yo, I'm talking about, like, when I'm telling you, I chopped the fuck out this kid. Like, he was pale as fuck. And I chopped him on his back. I chopped him on, like a bunch of times on his chest. I fucking gave him a bunch of victim kicks to the back. And, you know, I was rough as fuck with him because that was the way we were trained, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, a bunch of dudes are hot. Samu's hot. A couple of the other, you know, big ass Samoan cats are hot. And I'm like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, it is what the fuck it is. So Alpha calls me and Guapo to his office. We get there. And he had an office like upstairs. And their fucking building was cool as shit because they had like a rampway like New Japan. Yeah. Like, it was like a rampway that led directly into the ring. But then, like, upstairs, Alpha was able to see the matches and shit. So Alpha calls us to his office. And we walk in there, and he goes, what happened out there, son? And I'm like, so Guapo's like, oh, what do you mean? So he's like, what happened? So Guapo's like, oh, well, you know, I'm like, listen, Alpha, the way I was trained, you fuck up, you get fucked up. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it was when I got trained. He fucked up, and I fucked him up. And he's like, stone face. He's just looking at us. And Guapo's like, so Alpha's looking at us, and he's like, I like you. He's like, you remind me of me and my brother. I was like, okay, cool. All right. So he's like,
at that point, you were over with the Samoan.
Hey, I was over with him. However, they tried to put a hit on us the next show.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So the next show was probably like 2 weeks later. And they put us in there with this dude, Tank Tolan, who was one of the dicks in WWE. Yeah. He was probably like 5'5", but like fucking little fat 2 feet wide. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was fucking swole, bro. Juiced out of his mind. And then his partner was Cliff Compton, and he was Domino, I think, or Deuce, one of those dudes from.
Yeah. I remember Cliff. Yeah.
So he was one of those dudes, and he's big fuck. We called him the Ultimate Warrior because he was stiff as fuck movement, and but yeah, they put us in there with these two big motherfuckers, and they're like, Tank Tolan comes up and he's like, hey, bro, we saw what happened last show. I just want to let you know if you guys think y'all are gonna do anything like that, the receipts will be coming hard and heavy.
Oh shit!
Well, I'm tying up my shoes and shit. I look up, I'm like, all right, that's cool, bro. And Guapo's like, what's that supposed to mean? Guapo starts getting hot. I'm like, nah, bro, it's good. I know what the fuck he's trying to say. But if he wants to go stiff, we're going to go stiff. It's all good.
Yeah.
And sure enough, motherfucking Cliff Compton picks me up. I have fucked my knee up. So I told him, hey, just watch my left knee. Just don't work my knee. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm down to do whatever. Just don't work my knee. This motherfucker picks me up into like a gorilla press. And like I said, that time I was like 130 pounds, 140 pounds. And he fucking gorilla pressed me. This dude's probably like 270. You know? And he walks in, just fucking tosses me out the ring, bro.
Oh, shit.
So the finish was supposed to be a double count out. And this motherfucker, so he tosses me out the ring. So I'm hot, bro. I land on my elbow. There's no mats out there. I land on my knee and on my elbow. And I'm like, this motherfucker. So I get up. I'm fucking hot. I start walking toward the back. Now I'm expecting these motherfuckers to come out and fight us to the back so we can get a double count out. These bitches stayed in the ring. So they win by count out.
Oh, those greasy fucks.
Yeah. So now I'm hot as fuck because he tossed me out the ring. So I'm waiting behind the curtain with a fucking chair. because I'm gonna smash this bitch in his face.
That's going into business for yourself.
Yeah, I was hot. I'm standing back there. I opened the chair because I was gonna throw the chair feet first at his face. So I'm waiting for him, seeing these bitches celebrating because they had the big screen. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. And then Sambo was like, what happened? I'm like, nah, bro. I was like, this bitch is just gonna toss me out the fucking ring. I was like, nah, man. Nah, I ain't playing that shit. So I open the chair and I'm fucking waiting. So I go fucking throw the chair. Sam fucking, as soon as I throw it, Sam grabs the shit like out the air. Like, catches the shit like it was fucking like a dart. You know what I mean? Like he just caught it. Bang. And he pushes it down. And he's like, yo, you can't do that shit. He's like, take that shit downstairs. So dude's like, what happened, bro? What happened? I'm like, you know what the fuck happened, man? You gonna fucking throw me out the ring when I told you watch out for my fucking knee? He's like, bro, you said go for it. I was like, what the fuck do you mean go for it? He's like, when I picked you up.
Was that Cliff Compton that was doing that? Really?
I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I was like, why the fuck would I tell you to throw me out the ring when I told you before my knee is fucked up? Why would I tell you that? He's like, I thought I heard you say go for it. I was like, bro, you're on that bullshit. So after that, like, the hit was on them now because they put Sam booked them against my brother and Homicide.
Oh, shit.
And Tank Tolan pulled the no-show. And they ended up, but that dude, Cliff Compton, never wanted to really work. Like, he would stay out of the ring all the time. He would only come in for the hot tag. Yeah. So, but we ended up becoming cool with him over time, you know, but in the beginning, bro, I was like, yo, we got to get this motherfucker. Like, Guapo fucking finally got his ass one day because he would never come in to get any heat, you know? Yeah. So one day he goes to like run into the ring and Guapo fucking grabbed his leg and elbowed him on the back of his like calf while his leg is hanging off the apron. Oh, and then fucking big his fucking quad. Buddy was like, what the fuck? But I think after that, I think that was when we ended up getting cool with the dude and shit. But man, we had so many good fucking matches there. Like we did a bunch of matches with All Money, but that's All Money is Legal, which is the house party.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, I feel like we really grew as workers because they did live TV. So when XPW hit us up, I was like, yeah, let's fucking do this. But the way they did shit, man, it was just like night and day, bro. Like behind the scenes, like they used theatrical blood when they were cutting a promo after like one of the matches where dude was busted open, but to make it look even more legit, they fucking smothered this motherfucker in like gimmick blood. And it looked fucking awesome, bro. And like the camera angles. Then they had the porn stars. They had, you know, it was just fucking awesome, bro.
Oh, dude. Like
as a young dude, you know what I'm saying? I was like 20, 21 at the time. And I'm like, bro, this is fucking amazing.
How did you find like, because you said like you wouldn't have changed anything for the world, but do you think if you took like your career more seriously at some point that you could have gone to WWE, you could have gone to Impact, that you could have like gone down that road?
Oh, definitely. When they were doing what was it, Tough Enough, right? Was that the gimmick that with Al Snow and so me, Louie, and Guapo were doing a trios match for Frank Goodman, and they were coming around and actually scouting shows. Yeah. So Al Snow and that big redhead dude are there in the building, and after the match, they're like, "Hey, come here." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." I walk over, and dude's like, "Hey, I love your look. I love your style that you work." He's like, "However, you're tiny." He's like, "If you can get 30 pounds on you, I'll get you a contract." And I'm like, 30 pounds. At the time, bro, I'm talking about at the time, if you knew my diet, it was like nuts. I had to eat legit a box of cookies every day, drink a gallon of milk every day. I smoked a shit ton of weed too. But bro, I'm talking about like,
That would
and I was
help.
working out though, right? I was in the gym every damn day with Louis, and you know, I'm like, where the fuck am I gonna get 30 pounds, bro? I was like, at the time, I was probably like 160 pounds, 165 pounds, but I was going hard at the gym. Like I was able to do a lot of the shit Louis was doing, except obviously like some of like the bench and shit like that. But bro, I was squatting almost just as much as Louis was and everything, dude. Like I was going heavy as fuck. And I'm like, where the fuck am I gonna get 30 pounds from? You know? And he looks at me, he goes, I can't tell you where to get 30 pounds, but you know how you can get 30 pounds. And I'm like, okay. I was like, and then I'm like, nah, I'm a pussy. I'm fucking terrified of needles. I fucking legit, bro, like 100% shoot. I fucking cried like a bitch when I would get like blood drawn. Like I would pass out and shit when I would get blood drawn, you know?
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it was like some fucking, I was like, I can't do no fucking gimmicks. So I did buy gimmicks from that Russian dude that was at Gleasons, right?
Yeah.
He had the gimmicks. So I bought gimmicks from him, but pills, you know what I'm saying? 100% shoot, right? We're shooting the shit. So,
yeah. Exactly.
So I bought gimmicks. I tried them out, and I'm like, fucking going hard. However, I was fucking raging like a motherfucker. Raging, bro. Like, and I was already high strung. Like, I was already a fucking psychopath to begin with when it came to shit. And bro, I was just like wilding. Like I was on some, I'm ready to fucking get out my car and smash your face in if you cut me off. You know, spitting in motherfucker's face while I'm driving, you know, because they won't let me into the lane, you know, on some shit like that, you know. So, you know, it wasn't working. But I was getting size, but I wasn't gaining weight. You know what I'm saying? Like I was looking great though, but I wasn't gaining. So it was just like, for me, like the money that I was spending and everything, I just couldn't do it. Like I did one shot, and the one shot that I took, I legit was like, before, like as I was about to get it done, like fucking trying to dodge it, and I'm like, man, you know what the fuck, man? And then I did it the one day, and I was like, bro, I can't do this shit. No, I can't. I just couldn't.
That's some fun.
I was scared.
Because like I can just imagine like you being this little fired up Latino guy.
Bro.
It's like fucking juiced out of your fucking brain and fucking just like wilding out.
I'm telling you, bro. Like I was on some next level shit at the time, you know, and it was just like I couldn't just be my normal self. Like for me, like I would smoke some weed and I'd be chill.
Yeah.
But when I was on the gas, I was on some fucking next level shit where I was like, the littlest shit had me ready to fucking lose it and want to fuck people up. Now,
it's crazy what that shit does to you mentally, though, right?
Yo, I feel like legit. Like I told everybody, like the gas is not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know, listen, honestly, would I, if I could, I would have fucking, if I wasn't a pussy and scared of it, I would have gassed the fuck up and took my shit way more serious just so I could have gotten a deal, you know? But it just, you know, I wasn't about it.
It's crazy though, because that abuse of steroids though, like you see what it's done, especially like to a lot of like wrestlers from like the 80s and 90s, but also like the bodybuilders as well. Like you see like Ronnie Coleman, like his story, like,
Dynamite Kid, motherfucker's body is like broken the fuck down. But you know, it was just like for me, dude, it was just I regret not pushing myself a little bit harder. And you know, sure, I could have probably, I know I wouldn't have gotten it natural. You know what I'm saying? Like in order to gain the fucking weight that I'm at now, I was almost 30 years old. I fucked my back up by falling off a roof at work. And I was still eating that fucking box of cookies, drinking that gallon of milk, plus drinking beer while taking painkillers because my back was all fucked up for a full year. And I wasn't able to work out. So obviously I blew the fuck up. So I went from like 170 to like 215. And I was like, bro, I was fucking fat as fuck. And once my back got better, I got some injections and shit done in my back. And once that happened, then I started doing yoga and started working out regularly. I did the DDP yoga.
How did that work for you?
Bro, that thing was great, bro. Like legit, I tell anybody if they're trying to like recoup from an injury, like a back injury especially, bro, I couldn't do a fucking thing when my back was fucked up. I started with the DDP yoga, the YRG shit.
Yeah.
And dude, like before I knew it, I was able to actually start going to the gym, start running again, start lifting again. So, but you know,
so that shit really works for recovery.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe in it 100%.
That's nuts. I've never tried it. I've always thought about doing it because, like, I've got injuries from like football and MMA and shit. Like,
check it out. Like, people, I know for me, like in the beginning, I was like, I'm doing a fucking yoga. Yoga's for fucking women. You know,
that's the kind of thing. Like, because when we grew up, like the 80s, it's almost like, yeah, let's go to an aerobics class. It's like, that's not for us, bro. Like,
exactly. Our mentality, you know, growing up wasn't that. But man, let me tell you, if you try it out, bro, I guarantee you would probably be your flexibility will be there over a couple months. Like for me, like bro, I couldn't like legit. I probably couldn't touch my shins after my back was fucked up. And then after doing the YRG for a hot minute, I was able to put my fucking palm on the floor.
That's crazy.
So I was a heavy believer, bro. And I had seen Kevin. I don't know if you know who Kevin Matthews is.
Yeah, I know Cam.
Yeah, I had seen him post about it, and I was like, man, you know what? Like, and he was looking phenomenal. And that was what he said. He was starting doing that, and then he started branching out and working out regularly, and he got in phenomenal shape at the time. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. So then with that, I started working again. And I started doing shows for Alpha down here in Florida. And I ended up getting that SmackDown match.
That's it. Barry Stevens making the debut against Ryback, bro. Like, how did you, like, because, you know what I mean? Like, we saw, like, years ago, like, when CM Punk left WWE and he did that infamous shoot podcast interview with Colt Cabana, and like he fucking buried the fuck out of Ryback in that interview. Like when you were in there, let's get into we'll get into like how the match came about and all that sort of stuff. But like, do you feel like, you know, you being in the ring with Ryback, do you see what CM Punk was saying in that podcast is going, yeah, this guy's a reckless motherfucker? Or like when he was with you, was he pretty good? Like as far as like, did he take care of you, or was he reckless?
So I get there. It was me and another kid, Ace Radic, that were the extra talent, and they were looking for a small guy to make Ryback look good and make him look gigantic, obviously, right? So I get to the building, and at the time I actually worked at Amway, which is where the show was. I worked at Amway doing security, and WWE's coming, and they're like, yeah, you're off. And I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, damn, because I always worked, when I worked security, I always worked barricade or backstage.
Yeah.
So like during concerts, I always worked either barricade or backstage. So I got to be, you know, and during like the basketball games for Orlando Magic, I worked VIP. So I used to deal with like the players a lot. So it was like cool as fuck, you know? And then wrestling's coming to town and I'm all fired up. And these motherfuckers are like, yeah, you're off. And I'm like, motherfucker. So now I'm at the crib. chilling. I'm washing my car. All of a sudden, I get a phone call. Hey, how quickly can you get to Amway? I'm like, can get there. And I was like, I live about 25, 30 minutes away. I could probably be there in 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I call Striker and I'm like, hey, Alpha just called me. He said that they're looking for a small guy. He's like, hell yeah, come down. So he's like, hey, come looking good. You know what I'm saying? Dress appropriate. So I'm like, all right. So I go home, fucking hit the razor real quick, fucking throw on a fucking button down. Well, yeah, a tie, a button down, a fucking pair of dress pants, jump in my fucking Civic, and I'm fucking flying, bro. I'm talking about I'm doing a $110 in and out of traffic, riding on the shoulder to get there as quickly as I fucking can, right? Get there, park in the parking lot, and I go walk into the building. I got my gimmick bag with me. And one of the dudes I work with, he's working security. He's like, oh, shit. He's like, Sean, what are you doing here? I'm like, I was like, yeah, I'm working. He's like, I thought you were off today. I'm like, no. I'm probably going to be working. And he's like, no fucking way. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm changing my spot, changing my post. So I go in and I'm like looking around, and it's just like, to me, like I worked backstage there a million times. However, I've never worked backstage during a wrestling show. Yeah. So like I walk backstage and I'm like, man, like workers everywhere. You know, I see Kurt Hawkins, talk to him. I see Fred Rosser, who I know a lot of these guys from indies up north, you know. So I worked with Kurt Hawkins and Matt Cardona up there in NYWC. Me and Louis worked with them quite a bit, you know. So right before they got signed. So I see Hawkins, I'm talking to him. I see Rosser, I'm talking to him. I see Ezekiel Jackson, I'm talking to him. I see Stryker, talking with him, you know. So they're like, hey, go get a physical done. So I go get my physical done. They're like, put on your gear and, you know, come out here. So I go, me and the other kid put on our gear. And at the time I had, my gear was Dickie shorts with bandanas. What do you call it? Sewn on down the sides and across the bottom of the legs, right? And it said LowRyda down the side. And so I'm over there in my gear, and they're like, yeah, no, you can't wear that gear. And I'm like, oh shit. So like I'm waiting to see the doctor still right now. And I'm like, oh shit. And they're like, yeah, it has your name on it. You can't wear that. So I'm like, fuck. So they're like, you got other gear? And I'm like, I got tights. But my tights say Dead Presidents on them. They say Dead Prez. And they're like, oh, no, you can't wear that. I'm like, that's all I got. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got any other gear. So while I'm standing there waiting to see the doctor in my fucking Dickie shorts, right? In my gear, Hunico comes up. Sin Cara, the black Sin Cara or whatever, the second Sin Cara. Yeah. Right? And he had just been unmasked and shit. And he's like, holy shit, bro, that gear is fucking dope. He's like, who makes your gear? I'm like, oh, I got it done I got it done by a homie of mine in California, Baby Slim. And he's like, oh shit. He's like, man, that's so awesome. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I'm like, thanks, man. Go back. So now I'm like, fuck, they're not gonna let me work because I don't got gear. Yeah. However, they didn't want to let the other kid work because he had some kind of medical issue. So they were like, they come over with a pair of fucking Speedos. And they're like, where are these? And I'm like, I don't wear fucking Speedos. Like, what the fuck do you mean? I don't wear trunks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, I wore some fight shorts, like those little fucking MMA shorts one time. Yeah. And it was just as a fucking rib because it was me versus Louis versus Guapo versus Homicide in a 4-way. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just wear these shits. So I did it as a fucking rib, and it was just like I wouldn't do it again. You know what I mean? There was like fucking 40 people at the show, you know? So I ain't give a fuck. But I'm like, you want me to wear fucking trunks on TV in front of millions of fucking people? In front of however many thousand people were in this building?
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck. I'm like, fuck it. I want to do this shit. So I'm like, well, so I have my clippers with me. So I go and I fucking go in the locker room, I put on those fucking trunks and I shave my fucking thighs and shit. And I'm like, can I wear my kick pads at least? You know, because I never wore wrestling boots. I wore Asics. So I throw they're like, yeah, that's fine. So I wear my kick pads and they walk over and so now I'm like there. They tell me, hey, we want you to cut a promo. You're going to be working this guy, Ryback. He's making his debut. I'm like, okay. So dude comes over. They're like, hey, he comes walking by. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? Chung, working you tonight. He's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. He's like, yeah, just so you know, I'm going to kill you.
Are you serious?
So I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, I was like, hey, man, all good. I'm here to make you look good. So whatever you want to do, you know what I mean? Like, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he just big times me kind of and just walks away. I'm like, all right, whatever. So now I'm talking with Striker in the back. I'm trying to go over like what I'm going to say because I never really like cutting promos because of my fucking lisp. So I always had Wobble and Louie to cut promos, and I'd just chime in here and there, but I never would actually cut a full-on fucking promo. So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to cut a promo in front of all these fucking people and the world right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like freaking the fuck out a little bit, and I'm like, damn, dude. So then I'm talking to Striker. All of a sudden, Ryback comes walking back, and Striker's like, hey, Skip. I don't know if you met my boy. This is my boy Chung LowRyda, and we started together. And he's like, "Oh, for real?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah." Me and him had our first match. I'm like, "Yeah." Me and Striker had our first match against each other. We were trained together. We had our first indie show together. We worked each other like a million times before that. And he's like, "Oh shit!" So then Striker like walks away, and now he's like, "How long you been working?" I'm like, since like 99, legit, I was like, but
yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, oh okay, so now he's actually talking to me, no problems, man. It's pretty cool dude, right? All good, no issues. He tells me like, hey, I do this, I do that, I do this. I'm like, okay. I told him, listen, as I told you before, I'm here to make you look good. Whatever you need to do, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm here to bump for you. Like, yeah. I know I'm not getting in the offense. I'm here to bump for you. So he's like, all right. So he tells me like what moves he does do. He's like, I do this big boot where I stomp people to the ground, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. No, but I told him, I said, listen, if you want to do it, do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, the worst thing I'm probably going to hit you with is a clothesline. Okay, that's fine. Like, I don't care, So I go out there, cut the fucking promo in front of all these damn people. And, like working TV for Alpha and shit, you do the hard cam. But, their regular cameraman isn't in the ring. So while you're cutting a promo in WWE, the cameraman's there and he's like fucking in your face, bro. Like this motherfucker's right here.
Yeah.
So like to me, it's like I feel like I need to look here, right? Because you're in my face. And as I look at him, he's telling me hard cam. So I'm like, fuck. So now I'm like trying to look at the hard cam, but then he's like in there again. So I'm like, and I look again, and then even the ref is like, hard cam. You know what I mean? So I'm like, fuck. So I did the fucking promo, whatever. Yeah. Cut the promo. All of a sudden, his music hits. The referee was Scott Armstrong. And he was so fucking awesome, man. Like, before we walked out through the curtain, like, he comes up and he's like, "Hey kid, you got this." He's like, "How long you been working?" I tell him. He's like, this is you. You got this." So I'm like, all right. He's like, "This is what you've been waiting for, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Go fucking do it." He's like, "Even if you don't do it again, this is the dream, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." I was like, "Yeah." So I go out there and I fucking, Ryback's music hits and I'm just like, fuck it, let's go. Then I see that motherfucker get in the ring. I'm like, God damn, that's a big bitch. But like in the locker room, he's wearing a fucking hoodie. And you can see how big his fucking legs are and how tall he is. But when that bitch when he was out there in that fucking singlet and those lights hit that motherfucker, I was like, God damn, that's a big motherfucker.
How was he to work with though? Like, was he stiff as fuck?
No, bro. Like to me, like maybe to people that don't work stiff, that he's stiff. But when you work Homicide, you work my brother, you've worked with Loki. Like, that motherfucker ain't hit me harder than any of those guys did. My brother hit me way harder than Ryback did.
Well, Loki's probably got to be one of the stiffest strikers in wrestling ever.
I got to work with all of these dudes previously. You know what I'm saying? Work with the Hit Squad. These motherfuckers all hit way harder. I felt like maybe Ryback took a liking to me because we started talking and vibing in the back a little bit. I don't know. Or maybe once he started to blow up a little bit, his head started getting a little bit bigger and he started feeling himself, like, I don't know. But with me, he was cool. After the match, like, he pinned me, hit me with his finisher, pinned me the wrong way, didn't even face the hard cam because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing either. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he was new at that stage, right? Like, he was just breaking into me.
He's like, "Hey, thank you," and I was like, "Thank you, man." You know what I mean? Like, he hits me with the finish. I'm like, "Thank you," and I tell Scott Armstrong, "Thank you, also." And then Scott Armstrong fucking helps me get out the ring and walks me up the ramp where he's like, "Hey, kid, you did great." I'm like, "That's so walk sick." Through. But so the coolest shit to me though, right, is I'm sitting in the gorilla position before our match, and the match before us was Kane and Randy Orton.
Fuck it.
And I'm like, and these motherfuckers are doing crazy shit, fighting all over the place. And I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, how the fuck they gonna put a squash match right after this,
That's it. Well, exactly, because it's like, imagine trying to follow Randy Orton and Kane.
Exactly.
How fucking hard that shit would be.
As a fucking as a jabroni,
Yeah, exactly. Like, as a debuting talent and a fucking enhancement guy as well.
Yeah,
it's fucking nuts.
It was awesome, dude. Like, I walked through the curtain, they gave, you know what I'm saying? And that's fucking dope. Triple H says, "Hey, great job on the promo. Good job out there, kid." And I'm like, fucking awesome, even Vince McMahon came over and shook my hand and said, "Great job, kid." Really? And I was like, this is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I seen him walking through the hallway, but while I was going over my promo and what Ryback wanted to do, and he walks up and he's like, "You working tonight?" I look over, I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm marking the fuck out. This is Vince McMahon." You know what I mean?
You would be right.
I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Good luck." Shakes my hand, keeps it moving. Then when I was about to go out through the curtain, him and Stryker are sitting at the fucking table, gorilla position with their fucking headsets on, And when I came back, it was like they said, "Hey, great job, man. Like, it's fucking awesome." So I can't fucking complain, It was dream come true, and it was amazing, And for me, like, a couple years prior, my grandfather had passed away, and my grandfather was like one of my biggest, like, he was like one of the main reasons why I love wrestling. And so he had passed away a couple years before, and that's all I kept thinking about was my grandfather. Like, damn, man, I wish my grandfather was able to watch this on Friday, Yeah. But then I was like, you know what? He's up there, man. He's watching.
100%, man.
So it's cool, man.
You know what, man? I feel like we've been going for like an hour and a half, bro, and I feel like this conversation has just started because it's like whenever, bro, like you and I get together and we talk, and it's like even when it was like back in the day, like with the podcast network and
Yeah.
shit, it was always like these conversations and these meetings would just go forever because it was like we would just get started, man. So I definitely think we need to do a part 2 on this and a follow up on this because I kind of feel like we just really scratched the surface with that shit. Like if I'm being real with you, you know what
No,
I mean?
yeah,
Like,
definitely, bro.
so
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Like, bro, there's so many crazy road stories I got. And fucking, bro, shooting the shit, bro. You know what I
let's
mean?
let,
I am fucking down. You know what I mean?
let's
Like,
let's
I'm
do it,
just
bro.
trying to live it.
Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, bro, where they can check out the new podcast as well. And yeah.
On Twitter and Instagram at it's LowRyda, ITS underscore LowRyda, the way it is right there. And I think on Instagram it's the same, unless there's no underscore. I don't fucking know. I know one of them has an underscore, one doesn't. Um, and if y'all can check me out on Noah's Bar Sports Show with my boy King Mega and Kenny the Bounty Hunter every Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on YouTube.
There you go, guys. Go check it out. But until next time, we'll see you again very soon. Go and check out our sponsor, sleeves.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount. Also, make sure you go out and hit that subscribe button, click all the links, hit that like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Hell, if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it. Man, it goes a long way. But until next time, we're going to get LowRyda back on for a part 2 very soon. But guys, till then, take care. All the best. Peace.